not that easy to find the right words, what to say when you want to support a newly bereaved person. There's a couple of things actually we should avoid saying, and in this video I give you the do's and don'ts, and maybe that helps you to have a little bit of a guideline. The first thing, let's start with what we should not do, or rather not do. One is to put a timeline on the grief, to say, oh, you're strong, you will move on, and life will move on. Yes, it will. However, at that point in time, especially when it's a new situation, I don't have that perspective as a bereaved person. I don't see that timeline yet, so it doesn't help me that someday it'll be better. At the moment, I feel at a loss. And I want you to be there with me rather than giving me one day it'll be better. Another thing that happens, especially when people lose a child, that people mean well by saying, you still have 2 other children, and aren't you lucky that you still have those 2? That doesn't help me in this situation, because I've lost a child that I loved very much, and that child will never ever return to me again. I know that I still have 2 other children. Right now I'm mourning the loss of the 3rd one, for example, and so that needs to be addressed. And it's not consoling me that my other 2 children are still alive. Or another sentence that comes is, oh, you're young, you can have another child. Yes, but not this one, and I loved this one. So stay away from those remarks. Another sentence that people say is, oh, he had a long life. Yes, he did have a long life. And does that mean I shouldn't grieve him? I do grieve that person because maybe I spent 40 years with that person and now I am by myself all of a sudden. I know that we want to help by saying this, his time has come. That's another sentence that doesn't help, because I feel the loss. This is the one that I need to be dealing with, and that is the one that needs to address. And the other thing that people say, especially when they had experienced a loss themselves, I know exactly what you're going through. No, you don't. You had your own journey through grief, but that might be completely different from the grief journey that this person now is going through, because grief is a very personal experience. You can say, I can imagine what you're going through. Yeah, that's more like it. These are the don'ts. What about the do's? So what can I say, right? Coming from your heart, saying, I'm thinking of you. You are in my thoughts. Or if you're religious, you are in my prayers. That is a good statement to make, because I'm walking side by side with you. I'm seeing you, even if when I'm not there. That is consoling. Or being honest around that you don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words. This really moves me deeply. What happened to you? Talk about how you feel with them. Being of help. Is there anything I can do for you? For example, I addressed that in another video. It's good to be tangible there. I could help you with walking your dog. I could help you. What can you help? So that people can actually say yes or no to something, instead of having to think themselves what they need help with. That might be overwhelming. If you want to talk, I'm happy to be there for you. I want to be there for you. I could imagine going for a walk with you. Is that something that would interest you? Offering help, again, in a very tangible way. Coming from your space of empathy, relating to what the person is going through, that is your best bet. And last but not least, very powerful, gestures. Sometimes words are not doing it. Sometimes a hug, if appropriate, if culturally appropriate, and if you have the relationship with that person, can say more than many, many words. I want to share a little story with you. Nick Cave, a very known musician, had a loss. His 14-year-old son died with an accident. And he shared the story when he, for the first time, or went back to his food place, restaurant, where he picked up a food delivery. He was just waiting in line and queuing up, and then when he came to the counter, the service person gave him the order. They knew each other. She knew what had happened. And she didn't say a thing. She was very professional. But when she gave him the change, she squeezed his hand and held it a tiny tad longer. He states in his book that that was exactly what he needed, and that was such a grand thing and so helpful. Because in line, he didn't want to talk about it, but not being recognized in your loss wasn't right either. And that gesture, that little gesture, was exactly the right thing at that moment. How wonderful is that? Then even a gesture like that expresses everything you want to express. And I think that's a great way forward for you as well, if you're uncertain about words. Even putting the hands here, nodding, having eye contact, beautiful. I hope this helped you to get a bit of more direction. It is not an easy topic, you can feel that, and yet there are things we can do to be of service, to be there for them, and hopefully you find the right words. I'm sure you will. Thank you for watching.